Right now, the conditions on the battlefield in Ukraine are truly horrific. They're losing thousands and thousands of people needlessly and pointlessly. This is not an army as you would think of it anymore. These are formations and units streaming west, trying to escape the destruction that is following them. The Russians are moving very deliberately and very carefully. They're not interested in taking any unnecessary casualties. And as we talked the last time, they've made good use of these glide bombs because the Ukrainians have no air defense at all. That means that the aircraft can fly up in relatively close proximity to the target, launch the glide bombs, and they launched as many as 1,100 of these in a week. And the damage it's something from which the ground force cannot recover.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In a surprising twist that has shocked both political and military observers alike, Donald Trump is set to become the 47th president of the United States, with only 2 months left before he officially takes office. This development marks a dramatic return to power for Trump, signaling a pivotal moment in U.S. political history. The implications extend far beyond the domestic sphere. The Republican Party's ability to not only reclaim the presidency, but also secure control of both the Senate and the House represents a monumental shift in legislative and executive power. This consolidation of authority grants the incoming administration considerable leeway in shaping U.S. policy both at home and abroad. As the world watches, anticipation builds over how this will influence current geopolitical strategies, especially in regions where American involvement has been a defining factor. From the complex dynamics in the Middle East to the mounting tensions in the South China Sea, all eyes are on Washington to see if Trump's leadership will usher in a new era of aggressive diplomacy or strategic restraint. Military expert Douglas Macgregor has noted that this power shift could significantly alter the U.S. approach to ongoing conflicts. His analysis suggests that America may pivot toward either reducing its military footprint in certain areas or adopting a more unpredictable stance, shaking the confidence of both allies and adversaries. Such changes could have a profound impact on Ukraine, where the reliance on Western military and financial support remains critical to maintaining their defense. The question looms: how will Trump's administration, with its complex history of engagement with NATO and European allies, influence the trajectory of Ukraine's struggle? But before delving deeper into these political shifts, we pivot to where the real battles are unfolding on the front line of Ukraine, where recent developments are reshaping the entire battlefield. Let's turn our attention to the Zaporozhye front, where the relentless grind of conflict has underscored its strategic importance. The southern theater of war is split into 4 critical axes over Kyiv Robotine, Huliapol, Velika Novosilka, and the Uglidar front. Each axis plays a crucial role in the overarching strategy to control this contested region. Uglidar, the most significant among these, has recently fallen to Russian forces, setting the stage for a series of aggressive maneuvers aimed at extending their hold and exerting pressure on surrounding areas. Uglidar's capture was not just a tactical victory, it has become a symbol of shifting momentum in the south. The domino effect it has triggered is reshaping battlefield calculations, forcing Ukraine to reassess its defensive strategy. With this stronghold secured, Russian forces now have a launching point to advance deeper, threatening the integrity of Ukraine's southern defenses. The proximity of these advances to key logistical routes amplifies the strategic stakes, making control over Zaporozhye a top priority for both sides. The fall of Uglidar is not just an isolated event, but part of a larger coordinated push aimed at disrupting Ukrainian supply lines and paving the way for potential crossings of the Dnieper River. This river acts as a natural barrier, and control over its crossings could dramatically alter the dynamics of the conflict. The complexity of this theater lies in the balance of power between entrenched defensive positions and the adaptability of the advancing forces. The pressure on Ukrainian troops to hold these lines is immense, and any breach could have cascading effects across the region. With Uglidar secured, the stage is set for Russia to press its advantage toward Velika, a move that is pivotal for controlling access to Zaporozhye. This morning, reports have confirmed a series of significant Russian advances, painting a picture of an evolving offensive that spans tens of square kilometers. Russian units have engaged in tactical maneuvers, seizing territory in segments ranging from a few hundred meters to as much as 2 to 3 kilometers squared in strategic areas. One of the most critical developments is the push from the right flank toward Velika, a maneuver aimed at pressuring Ukrainian forces and compelling them to stretch their already strained resources. The push toward Velika is more than just a territorial gain. It symbolizes a broader attempt to weaken Ukrainian defensive cohesion and disrupt their counteroffensive capabilities. By advancing from multiple flanks, Russian forces are looking to create confusion and force Ukraine into defensive postures that limit their operational flexibility. The importance of Velika lies not just in its geographic position, but in its potential as a staging ground for further operations that could target deeper lines of Ukrainian defense. Recent satellite and ground-level footage underscore the scale of these advances, revealing a calculated push that incorporates both mechanized and infantry units. Analysts suggest that the steady, incremental gains reflect a strategy of attrition aimed at exhausting Ukrainian defenses. The gains toward Velika are compounded by simultaneous advances in other axes, creating a pressure cooker scenario for Ukrainian commanders tasked with maintaining control over vital positions. Each movement signals a strategic alignment meant to capitalize on momentum and exploit any vulnerabilities detected in the Ukrainian defense network. With such momentum, the strategic fortress of Velika appears increasingly vulnerable, and the implications for Ukraine could be dire. An essential focus remains on Velika, a linchpin location that holds the key to broader strategic objectives, including access to Zaporozhye and the crucial Dnieper River crossings. The Russian military's tactical ingenuity is on full display in this phase of the campaign, with a meticulous plan to envelop Velika from both the left and right flanks. This strategy of encirclement is designed to exert relentless pressure on Ukrainian defenses, forcing them into a position where any lapse could result in a rapid breakthrough. The plan unfolds with simultaneous advancements on multiple fronts. The left flank push is aimed at cutting off Ukrainian supply routes and limiting potential reinforcements. Meanwhile, the right flank maneuver seeks to pin down defensive units, restricting their mobility and creating an environment ripe for a decisive multi-directional assault. This calculated approach ensures that even if Ukrainian forces manage to hold one side, they remain vulnerable to pressure from the other, ultimately weakening their defensive cohesion. Should resistance prove formidable, Russia is prepared to initiate an all-out multi-pronged offensive. This would involve coordinated movements of mechanized units supported by precision artillery and aerial reconnaissance. The goal is to fracture Ukrainian lines, causing a cascade of defensive failures. The capture of Velika would not only shift the tactical balance, but could set in motion a series of events that disrupt the entire southern front. The consequences of such a success could ripple across other contested areas, reinforcing the momentum Russia has built and paving the way for subsequent offensives toward deeper strategic targets. Success here would mark a turning point, not just for this battle, but for the entire southern campaign. While Velika remains a significant focal point, Russia's strategic ambitions are broader, encompassing a coordinated approach to multiple strongholds, including Konstantinopel and Kharkiv. This multi-pronged strategy compels Ukraine to allocate its forces across vast areas, stretching their defensive capabilities thin. The pressure exerted on these fortress towns is part of a calculated move to destabilize Ukrainian command and control, forcing them into difficult choices about where to deploy reinforcements and how to prioritize defensive efforts. Kharkiv, a key stronghold, is of particular interest due to its strategic position. Its fall would grant Russia a significant advantage in controlling movement and logistics in the region. By targeting Kharkiv alongside Velika and Konstantinopel, Russian forces are attempting to sow uncertainty within Ukrainian ranks, leveraging simultaneous threats to create confusion and overextend their defensive lines. Animated battle lines show how these offensives are interwoven, illustrating the overarching Russian intent to divide and conquer. Artillery engagements and skirmishes have intensified around Kharkiv, signaling that preparatory measures are already in play. This includes targeted strikes aimed at softening defensive positions and disrupting supply chains that are critical to sustaining Ukrainian forces in the field. The strain on resources and personnel is evident, as Ukraine's military must now contend with defending multiple fronts, each presenting its own set of challenges. The overarching strategy is clear to erode the effectiveness of Ukrainian defenses and set the stage for deeper penetrative advances. As pressure mounts, the defensive lines of Ukraine are showing signs of significant strain, leading to notable territorial losses. Within the past 24 hours alone, significant strides have been made by Russian troops, highlighted by the capture of Trudov. This achievement has resulted in a territorial gain of nearly 20 square kilometers, marking a substantial shift in control within the region. The rapid success in Trudeau serves as a testament to the effectiveness of recent offensive operations, bolstered by concentrated artillery support and the deployment of mechanized units. Simultaneously, Russian forces have made further advances between Bohoyavlenka and Kateryivka, adding an additional 10 square kilometers to their area of control. These maneuvers are part of a larger plan to consolidate gains and push Ukrainian forces out of critical defensive zones. The coordinated effort underscores a strategy that focuses on rapid, targeted assaults followed by stabilization efforts that secure newly captured ground and prevent immediate counteroffensives. The operational map now shows a significant reshaping of territorial boundaries, illustrating how these gains are interconnected. The fall of Trudeau and advances near Kateryivka are not isolated incidents, but are strategically linked, serving to pressure adjacent defensive positions and open up new lines of attack. This progression highlights a clear pattern in incremental but relentless push that seeks to erode Ukrainian defensive depth and set the stage for larger breakthroughs. The accumulation of these territorial successes is more than just a tactical win, it signals a shift in momentum. Each gain strengthens the logistical and strategic positioning of Russian forces, creating new footholds that can be leveraged for future operations. As Ukrainian defense is thin across these expanding fronts, the challenges of maintaining cohesive resistance grow exponentially. Next, we examine the ripple effect this momentum is creating, stretching Ukrainian defenses thin across multiple fronts. The capture of key strategic points like Antonivka has provided Russia with a significant advantage, creating opportunities for further incursions into critical Ukrainian defensive positions. Positioned near the Kostyantivka line, Russian forces now hold a crucial foothold, enabling them to execute flanking maneuvers designed to isolate and potentially encircle Ukrainian formations. This development pressures Ukrainian commanders to reconsider their defensive allocations and anticipate the next wave of offensives. Douglas Macgregor has highlighted the importance of these tactical footholds, noting that they can shift the operational balance dramatically and place Ukraine in an increasingly vulnerable position. These advances signal the potential for more rapid breakthroughs if current momentum is maintained, challenging Ukraine's capacity to reinforce and hold critical sectors. The strategic value of these positions cannot be understated, with potential for an accelerated pace of conquest if supply lines remain strong. As these developments continue to unfold, it's increasingly clear that the momentum is firmly with Russia. The past 48 hours have not only demonstrated the tactical effectiveness of their military operations, but also highlighted the vulnerabilities within Ukrainian defensive strategies. The steady advance on multiple fronts points to a shift in the conflict that could push it into a new, more volatile phase. Should current trends persist, the risk of Ukrainian defenses collapsing under coordinated, multi-axis pressure grows significantly. Military analysts, including Douglas Macgregor, have underscored the importance of maintaining this momentum, leveraging strategic gains to maximize operational success. This approach may dictate the pace of future battles and set the stage for deeper territorial pushes. And with that, we conclude today's in-depth analysis. Stay tuned as we continue to monitor these critical developments that are reshaping the battlefield by the hour.